And welcome back to another edition of Brandon's World here on this Tuesday. And of course, we are now at the end of March. March Madness is flying. We got NFL free agency and draft stuff. The NBA is heading towards the end of the regular season. Professional wrestling is picking up. WrestleMania is right around the corner. So, with all that in mind, we have a lot to dive into today with the one, the only friend of the show, Austin Arnold. How's it going, Austin?
It's going pretty well. March has been rambunctious to say the least, and I am very eager to see how March Madness ends. I'm very eager to see how the NBA playoffs look. I'm very eager to see what WrestleMania is going to look like. We already have a clear picture of what the two title matches are going to be. It's going to be a very wild month and a half, and I kind of like that. So, with all that being said, I'm ready to dive into all this.
For sure. I mean, you look for us on the April calendar, basically, starting with pretty much the night of the men's NCAA March Madness National Championship game. There's that. And then we get a little bit of a break. But then that week is WrestleMania week. And then the following week is, or that week is WrestleMania week, the NBA play-in, and the start of the NBA playoffs. And then the following week is the NFL draft. So that like starting April 13th through like April 27th, that 2 week stretch is going to be a madhouse of shows.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think, and I'm honestly more excited about how WrestleMania will turn out. And that might be a hot take by me, but like I am very invested in Randy Cody right now.
Yeah.
I'm invested like crazy. I think that is going to be a hell of a match. I think I already know what's going to happen. But again, like we have the home stretch of the trifecta that I'm saying right now with WrestleMania, with March Madness, which has been phenomenal. Every
Yes.
game has been great. It's cleared last year's by far, even though there hasn't really been too many upsets. Like the quality of the games are significantly better. And I think a lot of people were griping about that with the NIL. But like now, yeah, you're not getting as many Cinderellas, sure. But if you're getting better quality of games where we're going tit for tat, final 5 minutes of the game where it's just grinding out each and every single possession, yeah, it's been fantastic. And with the NBA, like obviously as a Cavs fan, I'm very eager to see how the Cavs do in the East. But like it still has been pretty good in the East for the most part. Lots of parity. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but it's going to look really weird, I think, towards the end of April, where I could start seeing a team like the Atlanta Hawks really make a push to maybe go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're going to dive a lot into it today. Let's start with March Madness. So you had already alluded to it, and I completely agree with you. There's all this talk about, oh, the NIL has killed the tournament. There's no more. No, it hasn't. The tournament has been, I would argue, phenomenal. I think it's been one of the best tournaments we've had in years. And I've made the argument here over the last couple of weeks that everybody wants to see, a Loyola of Chicago or Florida Gulf Coast or Butler go far. And I would argue, actually, the best thing that happened for March Madness is to have a scenario like we had, where like Siena almost beat Duke, or Wright State, almost beat Virginia. But the Blue Bloods still pull it off, and we get the majority of the top seeds. Now, obviously, Iowa was a 9 seed and Texas was an 11 seed, but they're not really Cinderellas, if you will. But I think it's made for a phenomenal ending. I mean, yesterday was incredible. Today's going to be incredible. We're recording this on the Sunday prior to the two games in the Elite Eight. And I think ultimately the Final Four is going to have the four best teams in college basketball, whoever that may be.
Yeah, and for that Florida region, like I was one to think that Florida wasn't going to win that region. I just think I'm a huge non-believer in back-to-back champs.
Yeah, I am too. I had Houston in that region.
I had Houston as well, but Illinois, holy hell. I mean, I would have never, like, you could have made the argument that they could have made the Elite Eight. I probably would have bought in on that. I wasn't thinking that they'd go
Yep.
to the Final Four. I didn't think that they'd be able to win that region, but them beating Houston and having Florida knocked out by a Ben McCollum coached Iowa. I don't know if Ben McCollum's going to get poached now. It would seem like he might, but Iowa may just throw him the bag and say, hey, we need you to stay here and build this program up. He has been freaking phenomenal as a head coach for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's crazy with me with Ben McCollum before I like keep going on, but just the
Yep.
entire thing of March Madness. Ben McCollum coached Division II basketball, then he went to Drake, and then a year later he goes to Iowa and he takes Iowa to the Elite Eight. He is just a hell of a coach, and I think if he does get poached, UNC, I think you should throw a bag at him. But regardless, it's a lot of these regions. I mean, I wasn't a firm believer in Florida going back to back. I didn't have them winning that region. I thought Duke was going to make the push. Maybe UConn gives them a fight today,
Yeah.
and I was going back and forth between UConn and Arkansas. Ultimately, I chose Arkansas to win it all. God, am I
Okay.
stupid? But I think UConn just with Dan Hurley and the
Yep.
program that they've built
Yep.
and Alex Caravan, the ultimate Husky, I think that they could truly get it done today against Duke. I did have Duke winning that region, but Duke has looked very shaky every game this entire
Yes.
stretch. And I get that it was a murderer's row for a region, but they have looked very shaky, and I could see UConn easily winning that game today. Arizona looks like the best team in basketball.
Yeah, I thought they did going into the tournament. I had them as my champion.
Yeah, I did not. I was thinking that, and I'm a huge Darius Acuff guy. That dude is going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA. He is a phenomenal point guard. He will one and done with Calipari, just like a lot of great players with John
Yep.
Calipari do. But I was a firm believer that I thought Arkansas could beat them. Clearly, I was wrong. Arkansas didn't play good defense against Arizona. And Arizona, I thought Purdue was going to beat Arizona. I guess Arizona keeps proving me wrong. So I don't know. Like, I guess I'm gonna have to default for Arizona basically going to the title game at this point because I think that they can beat a Michigan and I think that they can beat a Tennessee, whoever that may be. Maybe Tennessee gives them a fight because Coach Barnes is a hell of a coach in March
Yeah.
Madness for Tennessee. But I just think that Arizona is going to come out on the one side, and then as for the other side, listen, if Duke wins, this has to be crash course for Duke Arizona. This has
I
to be.
I feel like the winner of Duke UConn today at the time of this recording will be in the national championship because I the way Illinois played yesterday wasn't great and they don't shoot the ball great and I feel like Duke or UConn would beat them in the final four.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the Illini, and listen, I probably do agree with you that if UConn or Duke win today, obviously one of them have to win, that they're probably going to go ahead and beat Illinois. But I'd be remiss if Illinois didn't put up a fight.
Yeah, I mean
I think Keaton
I
Wagner is the real deal.
yeah, I mean, if Illinois plays like UConn or Duke for that matter, I think it comes down to if whoever advances, if they can make their shots in the first half. Like if Illinois can stay in the game, stay within that 30-point range in the first half, then I think we have a game. But if those other two, whoever wins, say if they come on and they make their shots and they got 35 or 36 and have a 5 or 6 point lead at halftime, then I think it would be tough for Illinois to make a comeback.
Yeah, I don't just the way Illinois has fought all tournament long though has me thinking
Yeah.
that okay, maybe Illinois can really get something going
Yeah.
here if they were to play a Duke or a UConn. Listen, I would love, and I hate that I'm saying this, I would love an all Big Ten title game where it'd be Michigan and Illinois because it just goes to show you that the Big Ten just lapped everybody in terms of college
Yeah.
basketball. Just like the Big Ten arguably has already lapped the SEC in college football. The Big Ten is where it's at, and people should want to play in the Big Ten. And I'm not trying to promote the Big Ten, but I'm in the Midwest and I watch the Big Ten the most.
Yeah. No, and I
So
mean Purdue this year, and listen, I know we all kind of feel the same thing about Purdue, where it's like they're always a 1 or 2 seed and they always find a way to choke in either the round of 32 or the Sweet 16. But they were, I mean, I got to give them credit. I know some people had them going out early, and I mean like the round of 32.
yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that
No,
either.
I
I
didn't
had them
either.
Elite Eight.
I thought that they were a very good team. Illinois, I could have saw them, like you said, making the Elite Eight. I could also saw them losing early in the tournament. They were kind of a mystery team. Um, But it does speak to the fact that like in college basketball right now, we really have like the Big Ten and the Big 12, and those have become a little bit, maybe not to the extreme of like the Big Ten and the SEC in college football, but it's become a little bit of that.
Yeah, for college basketball, the Big 12 is has predominantly ruled for a long time, and like you could have made your arguments about SEC when Calipari was at UK and they were trying to
Yeah.
promote those teams, but just in recent years, listen, the Big 12 has always been a basketball conference. We know that. Like
Yep.
you have the Kansases, before Texas and Oklahoma. Well, I shouldn't even say Oklahoma. I mean, they had a couple good years with Buddy Hield, but before Oklahoma and Texas bounced for the SEC, you had those two teams duking it out. Texas Tech has always been a basketball school. They've just had so many good basketball teams in that conference. Baylor, they won it a couple
Yep.
years ago, and I know Baylor's kind of been down in the dumps, but regardless, the Big 12 has always been a basketball conference. They've been good at football, but they've always been a basketball conference. But now you're seeing with the NIL and how much money these Big Ten teams have to resource, you're seeing teams like Illinois, who might not be good at football, but they're great at basketball
Yep.
because they put all their money into basketball. Iowa, you could probably say the same, but they're a mystery team to me. Um, Another team, and you could also say this for college
I,
football. Like Oregon,
I,
Oregon is not a basketball school, but they're a damn good football
Yeah.
team.
Well, and I'll say
So,
this about like predominantly football schools, like your Alabamas, your Georgias, your Ohio States. Like, sure, maybe did Ohio State and Georgia go out in the first round? Yeah. Did TCU go out in the round of 32 to Duke? Yeah, they did. But, these are schools who would either make the NCAA tournament or for the past few years wouldn't be, and they wouldn't be high seeds. And all of a sudden, their basketball program is to the point where it's like they're going to consistently make the tournament, you feel like.
yeah, and that should be the expectation for people that follow those teams is if you're not a good football school, but you know your team's pretty damn good at basketball, just start looking forward to college basketball season because that's where the real magic happens. I will say this though, I know you already talked about Alabama and you brought them up. I will say for the couple teams like Alabama and Michigan as outliers, they invest pretty evenly in both those programs.
Yep.
And they both have results to show for it. Maybe not national titles, but they have had fairly deep runs in the tournament. And I know Michigan, even though they weren't good at football this year, they're on the precipice if they were to win today of a Final Four appearance and possibly a national title berth if they somehow were to beat Arizona. So, I mean, I know Michigan, they're pretty fairly even. I think they're more of a football town than a basketball
Yeah.
town. They're just reaping the benefits of how good that program is with Dusty May. So it just I'm really eager to see how both those games go today. I don't know if we're giving game picks, but I'll hold off
Go
with game.
ahead. If you want, go ahead.
I would probably lean Michigan to win against Tennessee. Listen,
Yeah.
if Tennessee pulls this off today, then it's just amazing what Tennessee was able to do in that region. I had them as a team losing in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I I'll be honest, man. Like if they somehow find a way to beat Michigan with all the talent that Michigan has accumulated, I will be damned. But I think Michigan's going to win today. We're going to be on a crash course for Michigan and Arizona. That will be the better game of the two for the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then for UConn Duke, I really, really, really want to stick to my original prediction and say that Duke should win,
Okay.
but I have a future bet that I placed before the tournament started that the UConn Huskies would win the entire thing. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to say UConn beats Duke today.
See, isn't that hard when like you make a bracket and then like you bet something else completely? So to me, it's almost counterproductive. Like I'm one of those people that just go all in. I'm either gonna reap the benefits or I'm just gonna lose and I'm gonna have to live with it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I would have went all in too until Darius Acuff and John Calipari pulled me into their trap. So I would have
Yeah.
had probably UConn all the way if it wasn't for how Arkansas ended the season. And listen, Alex Caravan, Dan Hurley. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a solo
That
ball.
that dude
Well,
can
that is a
shoot the
very
ball,
good
man.
program over in Connecticut. I think that if anyone can beat Duke, and that if anyone can beat what John Shire has built over the past couple years, even though Duke has been on this redemption tour after last year and how they should have won it all last
Oh,
year,
they should have won it all
I
last year.
I
I
think if
was
there's a
so ticked off last year because I had a lot of money on Duke last year.
yeah. if there's any team in any program that can pull it off, it is Dan Hurley and those damn good UConn Huskies. So I'm going to take UConn today in that game.
So I'll say this. I think one of the reasons why college basketball, I would argue, over the last couple of years become more popular, not just because of the NIL and all that, but I think it's the games are almost a little bit of a throwback compared to what you watch in the NBA now because they are turning into two different sports. I mean, Illinois yesterday against Iowa, they shot three threes the entire game. And in the NBA, you shoot about three threes in about a minute and a half. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I love seeing guys in the low block work and bang and twist. And I also think the refs are swallowing the whistle. They're letting them play. It was really fast-paced action. You get a lot of traps. You get a lot of physicality. Like I think that's what's making this tournament so fun. Is it feels like rough, physical, tough basketball that we as consumers love to watch.
And before I go on about college basketball specifically, I'm just going to kind of take the whole bird's eye view between the college and the professional ranks.
Okay, go ahead.
With college, and this is why so many people love college football, love college basketball, love college sports in general. These kids might not be going to the pros. They are playing like they have no more lives left, especially in college basketball, because
Yep.
these kids most of the time are not going to go to the NBA. It's really hard to go to the NBA.
Yeah.
But you have guys and players who are giving it their all, and I do like that the refs are kind of swallowing the whistle a little bit because I'm a huge believer in you have to be consistent with your calls. And if you are
I am
swallowing the
too.
whistle more times than not, it better stay that way unless it's really egregious.
Yep.
So I do like that aspect of physical basketball. I do like that in college sports they're letting them play and that these kids are going out there knowing that they don't have really any more lives unless you're a top 5 pick that you already
Yeah.
know. So I truly, from the whole bird's eye view perspective, that's kind of why people lean college basketball and college football and college sports in general. These kids, they don't know if they're going to go to the pros. And it's showing because these kids are going down in the low block for college basketball. They're getting physical. They're posting up. Hopefully you get an and one and the crowd goes bananas. Like it's just amazing basketball, grind it basketball. And yeah, Illinois, they only had 3 threes yesterday that were that's when you look at that compared to an NBA game,
Yes. Well,
like
that
where
that
it
was
is all
alarming to
scoring,
me.
when it's
Yeah.
all scoring and it can get redundantly boring, you have to look at it and say you have to appreciate the other aspects of the game. And that's kind of what college basketball has done. It's making you appreciate all the other stuff outside of just the offensive master classes. It's really given a perspective on two different worlds. And I kind of like that in a way. I kind of like that we are going down this more defensive kind of brand of college
Yes.
basketball. I really do. Offense is fun and all, and it's cool to make tough shots, and it's cool to make those timely threes, get the crowd off their feet. But unlike the NBA, like obviously there's just a huge talent gap, and
Yeah.
I'm more so in the boat of I'd rather watch what college basketball is doing right now than basically the NBA because the NBA it's just a bunch of scoring, it's redundantly boring.
I mean,
Uh, a lot of
and,
people complain about fouls, and
and
you
I
don't
mean,
see that in
and,
college
and well, here's the playoffs are different, but the scoring is still up in the playoffs too for the NBA. And like every game at this point in the regular season feels like if you don't have 100, it used to be like even 10 years ago in that Cavs Warriors finals, game seven, the final score was 93 to 89. It used to be like if you got to 100, you were in good shape to win the game. Now it's if you don't have 100 points for three quarters almost, your offense stinks.
Yeah, that's basically how it is with the NBA. Like you've already said, if you're not at 100 points through 3 quarters, your offense stinks, and then it's not good, and that they're probably already looking to trade some players on your team because that's just the state of the NBA. If you can't score points, then you're probably not going to win too many games. And I know that some teams do hang their hat on defense, but that still the same argument has to be said. If you cannot score but you can play great defense, and I'll throw the Orlando Magic out there for example. They play amazing defense.
Yeah, they
Jamal
do.
Mosley has them playing phenomenal, tenacious, good defense. What is their pitfall? They cannot shoot threes,
Yep.
and just it seems like there's too much on Paulo Banchero's shoulders,
If
which is
if the
why
Magic were a college basketball team, and some of those guys are pretty much young enough to be that, outside of like Desmond Bain,
they'd probably win it all.
yeah.
They'd probably win it all because they're the perfect college basketball team. They're not the perfect NBA team, and it's just showing. But that's just an example. Like if you're not scoring points in the NBA in today's NBA, unlike the '90s or the '80s or the early 2000s
Well, I think
NBA,
the point is like even a decade ago, like 2016 is not that long ago. I mean, it is, but in retrospect, the way the game is played, it's really not. It's been, I feel like the last 3, 4 years, I kind of feel like it was like ever since Boston won that title 2 years ago. I feel like that was sort of the start of the era of everybody just shoot threes and will just not play barely any defense until about this time of year.
yeah, I with how Boston won their title, I could see that. I would kind of point back to the fact that look at what Golden State did with Steph Curry in those prime years. I think they kind of kicked the tires a little bit before we got to that Boston
They
title.
did like that clip from the Friendsworth podcast. If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Friendsworth podcast right here on YouTube.